Hello and welcome to the table where a bunch of bored geeks sit down and talk about board games. I'm one of your hosts, Logan.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Brandon, and this is BGBG, the podcast.
In today's episode, we'll be discussing budget board games and how to start building your collection in this expensive hobby.
And trust us, there are some gems out there that won't empty your wallet.
All right, but first, let's talk about a game collection that I love, not just for gameplay, but for variety and its aesthetic. That's going to be the Dark Cities collection by Facade Games.
Each volume is priced at a reasonable $25, and there are currently 5 in the series. The games in the series are Salem, Tortuga, Deadwood, Bristol, and their newest edition, Hollywood.
Yep, so these are kind of like, the games themselves are in boxes that looks like books.
Right.
You put them on a shelf, they look like a book. I just love that aesthetic. It's so clean, it's so nice. You can put it anywhere just as decoration, even.
Right, you can kind of hide that you have it.
Each one, they're all kind of social deception games, each with a little different twist, and they're all set in a significant period in history. So and they have some like education on the box, and it's based on like more real-based events for names and stuff. But the games are Salem, set in 1692, standard social deception card game about the Salem witch trials. We were trying to find witches and who's not the witch.
Right.
Pretty standard, like werewolf, mafia.
Yeah, it's a lot like Werewolf at Night, right? That's the game?
Yeah, One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
Yeah, that's it.
It's pretty standard game.
Okay.
I love it. High play count. They also have a Deadwood, more social deduction strategy game, and this one is set during the Gold Rush of 1876. Players form teams to find gold, and then they must decide whether to share the loot, betray their partners, try to steal it all. Multiple different team changes and like win cons type stuff going on.
Right.
And then you got Tortuga, set in 1667. It's a strategy deception kind of hidden Hitler type game set on a pirate ship where you can either be a loyal crew member or mutinous pirates trying to secure as much treasure as possible. There's shifting allegiances, hidden identities, hidden goals. You got to strategize, and you kind of have to you can choose to deceive everyone and see which side comes out on top.
Okay.
Bristol, my personal favorite of the games, set in 1350, is like a racing game set during the Black Death. So you're all trying to escape the city without getting the plague. But the thing is, you don't know anyone could get the plague at any time. And then once you get the plague, your goal is to just get the plague to everyone.
It's spread it.
So you can switch carts.
You go from kart racing game to Plague Inc.
Yeah. But you hop carts, so your alliances, your only allies are the people in your cart. But you don't know if they have the plague.
So
you can boot them out. You can push them off, stuff, or you can hopefully trust them if you don't think they have the plague.
Hopefully.
Yeah, you can get the plague, and no one else in your car can get the plague, but if you leave together, they all die. So it's yeah.
That's fun.
One person can kind of sabotage your cart. That's why I say racing game. You're trying to get out.
Before getting
once
infected.
Someone gets out, there's one turn for everyone to get out. You're trying not to get the plague. You don't know who to trust, and your alliances and teams shifts based on which color cart you're in. Lastly, the new one, which I think we all just recently played together, Hollywood.
Yeah, we played this one.
Yes, I did play this one.
1947. It's a much lighter social deduction game where you're trying to stop the communists from sneaking propaganda into movies.
I had only Patriot cards, so I was like, well, I'm just going to play it for a little bit and pretend I'm...
I told everyone that he was trying to play the good guy.
Well, what's funny is Perry got composer, so he could just add his little bit of chaos and be like, I'm adding whatever I want.
Very similar gameplay to the game Resistance, if you've ever done it.
It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that one.
A fun bookcase, container.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Does it have edible pieces?
Yes.
Is that why you like Tortuga?
Tortuga doesn't really have edible pieces, but it has a cool play mat that comes with it that you roll out, and it's a little
that's
race
cool
track that you drag the carts along.
Tortuga?
Tortuga's the pirate one.
I think that one also has a map.
It makes sense.
He's like, no, I'm thinking about Bristol. I love it so much.
Bristol. But you're right. You did say Bristol was your
I apologize. It's fine. The Hollywood one definitely have some edible looking pieces. They look like
they got a little statue,
gummy marshmallow looking.
I was gonna say the whatever the thing you can give. That's like the
tokens.
Yeah,
they look edible. That game is pretty good.
I'll check some of those other ones out. A variety of strategy and deception games for $25 a piece is a great deal. But now let's get into some games that are under $25 and great for any collection.
I would say what makes a good collection Obviously, I'm going to say it's got to have a party game of some kind.
Okay.
Anything that has a fairly high play count, easy to pick up, easy to get people in.
Right, so you have more chance to play
Yeah,
it.
my number one game for that list. It's affordable party game, easy to play, anyone can play. Realistically, unlimited play count. And that is Zombie Dice.
Right.
I believe it's a Steve Franks game. It's just a little dice holder like a Yahtzee cup, and it has a bunch of dice in it. It's like $13.99. It's sub $15.
Yeah.
I bring it camping all the time, and it's you roll dice, and it's like Yahtzee rules for rerolls. You're trying to get brains for points. You can get shot by gunshots, and 3 strikes you're out roll.
Right.
Or you can get runners, which are people who got away from you because you're the zombie.
Right, so you're playing the zombie in this game.
If you
Okay.
get away, you can choose to re-roll those runners. The dices are different colors, different weights of gunshots to brain ratio.
Right.
So you can choose when to re-roll, when to not. And if you get 3 strikes, you get no points for that round. So really as many players as you can have, because it's just keeping track of points and rolling dice.
Right. Yeah, no, that seems great because like when it comes to a game like that, little setup. You know, that's a
No
huge,
setup, I'd argue.
Yeah,
Right.
huge thing.
The
when it
game
comes to
kind of
board
takes
games.
care of that for yourself.
If you're going to get into this hobby, which is kind of the point of this podcast
Yes.
episode,
The starting of...
starting, you know, when maybe you don't want to, you're not sure if you'll like the hobby, you know, it's good to start with little investment. Because then if you turn around, you gave it an honest try, and you just say, you know what, I don't think this is for me, then you're not too deep in the hole.
Yeah.
And when it comes to setup, that's one of the easiest ways to both get yourself into it and getting others, where you can just bring it to a party or a gathering and just slap it down, say easy to play, roll those dice, let's see
Yep.
who wins.
Hey, I got this game. Like, let's try it out.
Yeah, it's super easy. And then when it comes to these cheaper board games, it's nice to be able to get multiple and all in one go rather than investing in one big board game.
Yeah.
Then you can have so like maybe this group that you go to, they don't like zombie dice, but maybe they like the Bristol and stuff like that.
Right, you can kind of...
And I think that's also important in any collection, whether you're just starting or whether you already have one. I think quantity of games is always good. Just
So
try new things.
like a variety kind of...
Yeah, and, I mean, even if it's the same kind of game, like how we said Hollywood and Resistance are almost the same gameplay. It's the theme that's different. You're secret agents or you're communists.
Right. The theme might hook somebody in one game where it didn't in another.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a good aspect. And just getting any games on this list that we're going to talk about is just going to be generally good. Affordable games to add to a collection.
Right.
All pretty fun.
A game I had for that, for like a cheap, like beginner, Coup, which is...
It's by the same people who do Resistance.
Really? I didn't know that.
Avalon Games.
It's your bluffing deduction game. So a lot like, your One Night Werewolf, those kind of things. It's engaging because it's got a lot of player interaction and rounds are really quick. And then you have to be smart about how you bluff because, you could be like, I'm going to take a Duke action. And now people are like, does he have a Duke?
I think I ever want to hear you say the phrase, I'm going to take a Duke ever again.
Poor choice of roles there. But,
I said a Duke action. Wait.
saying it more is not helping.
Yeah, I can end that quote however I want.
It's like, I will take that out of context, sir.
Yeah, Coup's also a $15 game.
Yeah, it's. I was gonna say it's super cheap and there's a lot of like replayability there because you're never gonna really get the same two.
Yeah, well, I've played that before.
Yeah, we've played that as a group. Yeah.
I would not say the pieces are delectable though. But if I did have to say something that had delectableness to it, it's another party game. It's going to be Sushi Go. Specifically the party version. Last time I looked it up, it was at $21.99 for MSRP. But you can slam 2 to 8 people at that table. Very easy to play. It's a card drafting format, kind of like a set collection. I don't know what to compare it to, like a goldfish or something.
Yeah, go because I've not played it, but I've seen it.
You're gonna want cards behind.
Yes,
and so
they're all adorable little.
They are
Right.
food, right? It's sushi based. And they did a great job on the art. It's been printed several times now in the years, and every time I think the art looks incredible. It's got a tasteful amount of chibiness to it, but also not like
Too
deterring.
childish.
Yeah, it's not too childish, not deterring from the gameplay. But it's just great because it's easy to learn. You're going to take cards in your hand, pick your favorite, set it down, and pass the cards to the next person. And you're just going to do that till you get some points tallied at the end, and you're going to see who did best. There are different versions of it, but if I were to recommend for starting off, especially for the price, you're going to want to go with just the normal Sushi Go. Sushi Go Party if you can.
Yeah. I'd wager for people who have a smaller play group, Sushi Go, the standard, would be better. But
Right.
if you play with more people, I think the party is.
Well, the
fun.
party is nice in a way because it has the number system that some
And it
games
has
will
a
use.
board that it comes with to count on.
Does it?
Yes.
I don't recall that.
The one I have has a board.
It's been
No.
printed so much. I might just have a different.
That doesn't have it,
But
yeah.
my edition has numbers on the side, so like it'll tell you like if you've only got 4 or less players, only include this number of cards. So that way it's like that's why I recommend the party version because you have the option to play with additional
Yeah,
people,
but you don't have to.
but you don't have to. Right? The game will allow you the ability to pull cards out and get it down to a normal size. But if you do want to save a few more dollars, I'm sure getting the standard version can save you a little bit there. Great game, easy to learn, and it's got great replayability.
I mean, going off that, another great. It's not really. It is a party game. It has a fairly high play count, but it's a team game. That's going to be Codenames. There's a lot of different versions out there. It's a $20 game. There's the standard. There's Duet, which is more heavily team based. There's a Harry Potter edition. There's a Disney edition.
Dang.
Marvel edition. How it works is you're on a team, and there's a bunch of words on the playing field.
Right.
And you have like a grid that you see which words you have to get someone to guess. The goal is you can only say one word. So you're trying to say a word that makes them guess multiple words that you have to have them guess without guessing the wrong ones. So when you like 5 words on the field, you want to guess 2 of them, and you give them 1 word and hope that they figure out what you're trying to
Oh,
get at.
okay.
There's a game I played when I was young that's like the opposite of that, where you've got like people's faces.
Oh,
Guess who?
yeah, it's Guess Who. Yeah, because the idea is like,
About
you're like,
Guess Who?
Oh, are you literally talking about it?
yeah, it's like,
No, were you?
Yeah, I am. That's
You
correct.
couldn't remember what the name was?
yeah, it's Guess Who.
No, I had to guess. Like, I
'cause-
didn't know. No, genuinely, I didn't know. And like, I played that with my sister sometimes, and it's just giving me big Guess Who vibes. And
Yeah,
it's slightly
I'd say it
different,
is.
of course.
Yeah, it's
That's-
with words. And there's
okay.
there's one card that if they guess that one, game over. It's like the assassin card, or it has different themes and different ones.
Oh, okay.
So there's like an end game where you really don't want them to guess this word, and all the words are kind of similar, so you can do a stretch. But it's great because you can do like inside jokes. You can like you know me, you'll know what I'm thinking, type
Right.
stuff. And it's a team game. So you can add that to your collection. You don't have just like fighting other people. You have joining up and fighting.
It's
other
like, yeah, it's like trying to actually like do it as a team. Speaking of a game with like a lot of versions, Flux. So Flux is a card game. The rules are never really same from game to game. You have your start, like your base rules, and then throughout the game, you can play cards that adjust that. So instead of playing like one thing a turn, you can play everything or play everything but one. Draw 4 cards.
And the versions are all nice because
Yep.
they each add a unique twist.
Like, yep.
Yes.
My favorite being zombies.
Yeah, and I love the Batman one.
I love Jumanji Flux.
Jumanji's fun.
I recently found out my Batman one's out of print and is like $50. I'm like, okay, that's fun.
I took better care of you.
Yeah, right. The
It's like
box is
Magic
rough.
cards. Like you just find like, oh, this card. Like I was digging through my lands and it's like, oh, this card. Yeah, it's a $20 land.
Or-
and I'm like, why?
When you were first starting, like some friends like, hey, do you have? You're like, this card's this much. I'm like, I have one of those. I'm just laying around. I'm not using it. You want it?
Yeah, like, I was digging through my lands and I had a $17 land because at the time when I pulled it, it was only like a $5 land. And so I just put it with the rest of my lands. And I'm like, this needs to go in a sleeve. This needs to be protected at all costs. I'm not buying this again.
But it,
So there are a ton of different like thematics
Yeah,
to Flux, and also
yeah.
different gameplay purposes.
yep. Because there's like a Flux dice I found out recently. Yeah, because my sister asked, is there an anime version? There's not. Unfortunate. I was like,
Crazy.
yeah, right. I'm like, oh yeah, totally. I can find you. They have Star Trek. They have a space one, zombie, but there's a Flux for you.
Wonderland, drinking.
Yeah, and they're
Standard Star Trek, Star Wars.
The drinking one's particularly interesting because it is a outside of game.
action.
Actually, like building.
Yeah, so you're
Oh.
developing cocktails with ingredients. Obviously, don't buy this game if you're
Under 21.
not having exposed like the not exposable.
You have to have money for alcohol.
Yeah, you have to have money. To
I was going the responsible route. No underage drinking.
But yes, also if you're not able to drink, do not buy that game. You can have fun with it, but don't play it. Obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just each version is just so slightly different, but so able to be understood.
Yep. And each version's about $16. That's what MSRP is. Of course, if it's out of print, that's a whole nother story.
The one that you're not getting.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't know. I bought it way back when, like 2015, 2016. So, but there's a Flux for you. It's
Yeah, there's a Flux for everyone.
it's always fun because like no two games of Flux are the same.
I will also say Flux also has. It's one of the few games out there that has a free-to-play app version.
Really?
So if you want, you can try it out with a couple of friends on your phone or with some randos.
A good
online.
it's like, hey, I want
long as it's
to.
approved.
Well, it's a great way to test out the game before you buy a physical copy, kind of thing. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, so it's like I said, it's never gonna be the same. The rules are fairly easy to understand. It's
Yep.
draw a card, play a card, and then the card you play may change the rules.
One of my favorite things about Flux Batman is I found an infinite combo.
Yeah, and now everyone.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to play that. Like, if they ever get any half of the piece, they do their best to make sure it never winds up in my hands.
I just love the Zombie Flux. I haven't played it in so long; it's hard for me to remember particular cards from it. But for its price value,
Well,
Flux
wasn't
is
yours
just
free?
so.
Wasn't your Zombie Flux free?
Well, that's not necessarily what I'm saying though. Like MSRP.
Yeah.
Like trying to get
you are
it.
correct. Someone left it. I swear it was this one particular person. Because in my brain, I'm like, this person's the one that brought it that day, and they adamantly for 4 years
Said
told
no.
me it is not their game. And I was persistent because I knew in my hearts of hearts that it was him.
But-
And he
said
refused
no.
it. And then once he moved away, I was like, well, there's nothing else I can do. I did everything in my power. So now it's on my shelf. I'm very happy about that because it was out of print. It got out of print in like 2004. So it was pretty high in price.
Yeah, Flux is from the 90s.
Yeah, it's old.
I didn't know it was that old. That was crazy to me.
But for games that have multiple versions, that each person can get one that they like, I have to say Tiny Epic. One of my guilty pleasures on my board game shelf, is just the Tiny Epic series. The most popular one is going to be Defenders. That one's just the iconic. I think it was its best selling for the longest time.
Kind of like their flagship one.
Yeah, their flagship version. And as far as I know, it's the only one that got an expansion to it. But
okay.
they're going to run. Each version is going to be different. I would say under 25 most of the time. Easy under 25.
And these are not like you can merge them together. They're all
No.
standalone games under the
Yes.
same brand umbrella type
That is
situation.
correct. Flux, I believe you can smash together, but I would not recommend
It depends on the version, I think. Like the Star Trek ones can be smashed
I
together
think
for
the
sure.
Marvel and Jumanji one
Yeah,
can be
they
smashed
both have
together
coins.
because they were printed in the same era.
Like wave sort of thing. We played. Was the mech one we
Yes,
played
so
is
the
one
mech
from
one
this
is
line?
Tiny
Okay,
Epic.
okay.
So Tiny Epic is more of a brand. It's a Meeples game.
Gotcha.
Love meeples.
And each game is so distinctly different. So Defenders is you've got a map that you're navigating, and the theme of the whole game is you can't be everywhere at once. So it's how to make sure that your kingdom is being taken care of because you're the knights of the realm and you're competing for who's like the best knight that's going to be crowned by the king by doing the most tasks and being the most helpful. But his territory is so vast that you physically can't solve every issue.
Right.
And so you're trying your best, like if there's a wildfire, if there's a bandit problem, stuff like that. It can just be hard at times.
So it makes you go, okay, what's the bigger threat and what can I respond to
Right,
the
and the
best?
expansion builds upon those threats
Okay.
particularly. And then you take something else from the Tiny Epic series. I have two other ones, and that is the Western and the mech one. The Western one plays like
Kong
poker.
robots.
Say it.
Yeehaw and robots.
Yeehaw and robots. Yes.
Time-honored tradition.
Cowboys and aliens. So the Western one plays as a two-hand poker game. I haven't really got to play it much. There's not a lot. At the time I was trying to play it, there wasn't a lot of videos online explaining it. So it was really hard for me to kind of understand the rule set. So that one's been on my shelf for a very long time. But the mech one, as Brandon was saying, we have been able to play. Super fun. What I find particularly interesting about these games is that the meeples will have printed weapons and gear, and it'll be accurate to the art that's on the card. And so in the mech one, you can get weapons, and those weapons will match the art on the card. And so you're actually suiting up your mech, and it has like a certain feeling to it. Like it's got weight. The things you're doing have weight. And then there's a mech for your mech.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a mech. Yeah. And
I love that part of the game when you get the big mech. You're like, yeah.
And is that the robot one also sub 25?
Should be. So they're going to fluctuate. It's I believe the best place to get them are going to be Amazon, and due to that, it's just based on the price that people are selling.
Yeah, I mean that segues into I think a good game I want to talk about, just because I feel like not a lot of cheap games have good parts like meeples, and this game you're talking about sub 25 has great meeples in it.
Yeah,
which
delectable.
And that's a good part of games is having the pieces. Like we talked about some dice and card games. But a lot of the big name games that people know.
Do you know how much money people would say if instead of doing like the marshmallow chickens, they did marshmallow meeples? Yeah. Okay. See. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you, but
no, yeah, but like that's a big thing, and there are a lot of big name games out there that you probably can't get or you don't want to invest in because why get one $40-$60 game when you can get a couple. Like 2 or 3 games and just have a broader collection. And I think
it appeals to a wider audience as well.
Right,
you're not playing your games for yourself.
Yeah,
you're gonna have people play with you.
But that makes me want to bring up Ticket to Ride. There's a New York and a London edition and a couple other. They're smaller boxes. They're not like expansions. They're kind of standalone.
Yeah, because they're different than the main game itself.
Yeah, and they're just smaller maps, but it's the same game concept and gameplay as Ticket to Ride, a very popular and iconic game, a pretty big staple. It's normally like $60, but these ones are 20.
Yeah,
and they're just smaller box games.
Yeah, because I've played the traditional, the big version, right? So that was my question, like how different.
There's America and Europe, and it's like a big map.
Yeah, it's the entire continental United States.
These ones are much smaller.
Okay. Do they play quicker?
Would you say fairly quicker because there's just generally less trains. I don't know if. I don't think you can combine them with the main game. You might be able to, but there's a few different ones. They're all like $20, so it's like it's not the main name game. You're not going to see it in like Walmart when you go, but if you look for it online, you can find it.
Oh, can I just say,
great
Barnes
game.
and Noble. If you have one in your area, it's a great resource. You'll have a lot of games that are funded on Kickstarter, Barnes and Noble, and Target. Especially
Target on holidays, nobody goes, but Target on holidays, board games like buy one get one, or they're all 50% off, and no one goes to Target for board games, but they're all on sale.
Target and Barnes and Noble, I don't know why, I don't know who in corporate does it, but they snatch up these newer niche board games, and that's the best place. That's where I got games like Chameleon, which should be sub 25, and then. At the time, there was a game that nobody in my group knew of, nobody online that I watched played, called Fun Employed. It was $25 at that time.
I love this
which
one.
Is what makes it perfect for this particular video. It is no longer sold. Super sad. But it's going to showcase a point of I took a gamble. I looked at a game. I did not want to buy a game that I knew but was expensive. You know, I could have got Terraforming Mars that day, but that's like a $50 game or more. I couldn't justify that purchase. I wasn't sure if I would have people to play with. This is early in my college days, so I didn't quite have a friend group yet. But I took a gamble on this game called Fun Employed. And I have to say, it's one of my most popular games on my shelf. I try to carry it with me at all times. I carry it in every bag. It's quite wore down now. It's super sad.
It's seen some days.
Bottom, so it's a square or it's a rectangular package, and it's made of cardboard. And the bottom like rectangle of that has slowly eroded away, and now I'm starting to have no bottom to this anymore to hold the cards. So I'm gonna have to make a new package, but super easy to play, like cheap, and just pick up and go, drop and leave. You know, great for a beginner. And so sometimes you don't have to look at the reviews necessarily. It's always great. You want to be a great consumer. You want to make sure you're buying things. But if you see a game and it genuinely piques your interest,
Yeah,
and you're just curious, buy it.
Yeah.
If you have the money and you're just wanting to be the person to fund that game.
Yep.
You know, because that's what happened with Fun Employed. I'm sure if more people knew about it, it would still be published today.
Yeah.
But it just didn't sell well. And so it's not.
It didn't like reach its audience like it was supposed to, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think at the time when it was being printed is when Cards Against Humanity really blew up.
Yeah,
And
that's
I think
unfortunate.
all the target audience of like teenagers who would have fun with this game or college age
We're
kids,
playing cards.
They were playing Cards Against Humanity and buying all the Cards Against Humanity expansions, which were equally priced. You know, they were both small box, easy to play games that had a fair price to them that isn't too expensive.
Yeah.
And Fun Employed just wasn't able to jump on that.
Yeah.
Super sad.
I will say, a game I backed on Kickstarter, I didn't know anything about it, but I knew the creators of the game. Not personally, but the game I played from Unstable Games, Here to Slay. I paid an outrageous amount of money for the Kickstarter exclusive deluxe edition.
So you did not pay MSRP.
No, but it's a $20 game.
Right.
It's really fun. All the Unstable games are fairly cheap.
My favorite's like Unstable Unicorns. I really like Unstable Unicorns.
Llamas Unleashed.
Is
Casting
Llamas
Shadows.
Unleashed. I have
all
great
of them.
stories.
I have
with,
all of the expansions. I love Unstable games. They're great.
I want to say it was
great games.
the llamas specifically.
Yes.
I was playing.
I love this.
with Brandon and some of his friends, and one of his friends brought Llamas Unleashed as a. Oh, did they bring Llamas Unleashed? Actually, it might have been Unstable.
No, it was Unstable Unicorns. But they're like, oh, I have this. So it was one of our friends, significant other at the time, she brought it. And she's like, oh, I want to play this game with y'all. And she put it out, and the entire group went, oh, cool, it's Magic Light, awesome. And then proceeded
Instantly knew.
immediately.
And so one of the things in that game was detriment cards.
Yes.
'cause you had a battle state, which was your stable,
Yep.
and you
Where
want to
you
put your
have your ponies.
upgrades.
Yep.
And you want to put upgrades
pony
there
perks.
that'll make you better. But then there's also detrimental cards that you want to give to other players.
Yep.
And I was kind of snowballing. I was just about
Yeah.
to win, and I didn't want the game to be over.
So
I said,
I love this.
is there any rule that says I can't put this on myself? Because I had to do an action. But the other cards in my hand would cause me to win or get like just that close to
You're
win.
so close. It's
And
going to be
so
hard
I
for
was like,
somebody.
I don't want to do that. I want to give people a chance to try to like get rid of my unicorns or hand disrupt me or something. And so I was like, is there anything in the rules that say that I can't attach it to myself? And she was like,
No. She
I
checked the
just-
rule book on you. She
no,
like,
it doesn't say. I said that I'm going to attach it to myself. And she had a fit.
It
She
was-
did not like, she said, that's not how it's supposed to be played. I was like, but it doesn't say I can't.
yeah, it's like, I can still do this.
She was so mad. She was irrationally mad at me.
Yeah.
all the Unstable games, I love them. They've got great art. They're all super cute. They got cute little animals in them. They're great family games. They're all easy to learn, all fairly cheap. Unstable Unicorns, there's a ton of expansion.
It's a nice, like, it's a good entry level thing. And then it's yet again the thing I love about games.
If you like it, you can invest more.
Yep.
Both
And
into
I
the
think
company and your
that's a key
experience.
part of any board game collection, especially when you're starting, is games that have expansions that you can expand upon.
This is why I recommend King of Tokyo. It's not a budget game, but it's yet again, it's that I can adjust the dials with the expansions however I see fit, and it's like, or like my playgroup sees fit. There we go.
I'd say two of the bigger names in games would be like Ticket to Ride and Settlers of Catan.
Yeah,
Settlers of Catan, it's an expensive game. It is not cheap. It is an investment.
because isn't the base game 60 by itself? Yeah,
60 and it's only 4 players.
and then it's like then expansions on top of
You can
that.
get the 5-6 player expansion. You can get the Seafarer expansion. The 5-6 player Seafarer expansion.
Oh my gosh!
The Knights and Cities expansion. There's so many expansions. It becomes such a different game, and you can like mix and match and choose. It is expensive, but once you get it, there's just so much build opportunity with
Right.
it.
Kind of a game. So back to more like a basic game, I would say. Clue's a great one.
Love Clue.
Ooh, and Clue has so many versions. If you
So
like
many
Harry
skins.
Potter,
So many
Yep.
skins.
Yeah. It's kind of the same thing in Flux. There's a clue for you.
Yeah.
And then all the clues play differently because, like you said in the Harry Potter one, I think we talked about this a while back.
Yeah.
People
I
can
went
die.
through a lot because I'm good. I
Yeah.
write a lot of stuff down. My family loves Harry Potter because you can die. You can RNG
Yep.
be killed in the game.
Before you can even, and
Yeah.
you know, and
Of course, my RNG, I get killed.
Yeah.
I don't win anymore.
Yep.
And they're all excited.
but yeah, it's a deduction board game. It's pretty simple. It's figure out who, with the evidence available to you, figure out who committed the
And
crime.
there's a movie.
Yeah, there is a
Alternate endings.
I think Clue is a great segue into what I want to talk about here. Don't be afraid to start your collection with some classics.
Yeah.
If you
By all means, that's fair.
Clue, buy different versions of Clue. If you like Clue, so for me, last episode I talked about how
Hasbro.
Mattel, Hasbro. So for me, it's Uno. I just like Uno.
Yep.
It's not even like, oh, I want to play Uno every day. Every time I go, I want to play a game session of Uno. No, something about Uno, I just genuinely enjoy.
That's phase 10 from my mom. She loves it to the point like she's been accused of being cheating. It's like, no, she's just that good.
Yep.
So don't be afraid to like a commonplace
Classic game.
classic game. Especially because a lot of them you can get cheaper. So if you want to start something and start introducing a friend group to the
Yeah.
idea of spending time sitting down, you
Not on your
can.
phone, talking. to each
Yeah,
other.
it's that thing of it's like Clue or Uno. It's like, well, a lot of people would have interacted with it already and like, yeah, I'll play a game. I used to play
And
this as a
then
kid.
You can use that as a warm up. If you bought another game that you want to play that night, you can sit everyone down, get them in the environment to enjoy Uno, something they are familiar with, and then branch off into other things.
Yeah.
If don't ever feel ashamed of a board game that you just enjoy.
Start with Uno, then go to Terraforming Mars.
But yeah, they're stepping stones, right?
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to feel like they should have to buy any game that we list just because
Yeah.
we list them and they're a good
Oh,
deal.
yeah.
If you like, even if you like
Trouble, sorry.
Yeah.
solitaire, like if you want to start
Yeah.
with like a nice deck of cards,
Yeah.
there are games you can play with decks of cards.
We could do an
But you
episode
can
of all
also
the games you could
You
play
just
with that deck.
just a deck of cards. Yeah, I used to have a
but-
book about that.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Oh, that sounds like a great book.
I gotta find
You'll have
it.
to link it to me sometime.
I had it. It was a physical copy, and I lost my.
You're in the digital age, old man. You got to get me a link.
I like physical copies. I die on this hill. Like my D&D books have to be physical. If somebody sends,
Your audiobook trophies. I understand.
yeah, it's like, yeah, pretty much. It is. I have a whole. If you go to my house, there's like 4 bookshelves just because when I go
My
garage.
bookshelves have board games on them.
Well, see, when I go to garage sales, people are always selling their old books, and I'll be like, well, how much?
I'm gonna
What do you mean
interject
old
right
books?
here. Garage sales, great place.
I was going to use that as my little segue.
Oh, I stole it from you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but yeah, it's
I've
Write
never
that down,
seen-
write
I've
that
never-
down.
I've never
it's-
seen a Goodwill without a sorry in it.
Yeah.
Or a Battleship. It's like
Battleship, huge. Love Battleship.
I actually picked up a version of Battleship for $6 like 2 weeks ago. That's Battleship in space.
ooh.
I
Does
say
it have
let's
all the
break
pieces?
those two topics up. I want to do yard sales first. Okay.
'Cause I guess
if
antique-
possible.
yeah, okay.
Because then we can.
Aggressive yard selling like Gary Vee.
Yes. So a lot of my games, because like I said, I started with Uno, so I'd go yard selling to see if
Yeah.
people had weird Unos, and that led me into games like Quadamos. It's dominoes.
Yeah, I get you.
But it's squares.
That seems
And then
like extra work.
Trianimos. But you're gonna find games at lower than MSRP. They're used, and you're gonna have to start gauging: is this game in good enough condition that it's probably gonna have like all the
Right.
pieces, all the cards.
And I'd argue garage sales, they usually have all the pieces because if they didn't,
They just
throw
throw it
to
away.
Goodwill.
Or they, yeah, I can tell. I can
If
confirm
they
that.
don't want to check for the pieces or they know pieces are missing, they'll probably just send it off for free.
That's
And
why
some games you can just buy the pieces.
the
Play
replacement.
without all of them. Like Battleship, you can be missing pegs. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you don't need all-
to fill the whole board.
If you're missing a ship, just make it even.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
it's-
just, I mean, we have 3D printing technology now. You may not know someone with a 3D printer, but I'm sure someone out there
Right.
with a 3D printer be willing to print you like a piece. For
Yeah,
the
yeah.
game.
Yeah, I think I got my copy of Risk from a
I did.
a board game?
I definitely got Risk.
I don't think I know anyone who's paid MSRP for Risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
All of my copies have been secondhand.
I don't think it's even being sold at MSRP anymore.
Yeah.
It's just
That's
a
what
whole
kills
bunch
me
of
about when they make like third edition
Yeah.
Trail on the Hill, because people are going to have the second edition, but it's not compatible for people in the future.
Yeah.
Whereas like Risk, like Tale as old as time. Everyone's played it. Everyone
Yep.
has it in some capacity. Like someone has seen it on a board shelf in some
So-
family member's home.
So my first version of Risk was, it didn't have like the people, it had just like the obscure like triangle looking things.
Yes,
I
I
know
know
that
just
one.
like cubes.
So, and then when I moved to the one that had
Colorblind?
the when I moved to the version that had like the little horses and people, it caused a stir in my group. My brother hated. He's like, I liked the little like obscure like retro design.
It's like you're playing like a 90s
yeah,
flight
he's
sim.
yeah, he's like, I don't. He's like, what do you mean? I liked this design. It was weird, but
Yeah.
this is what I want.
Oh yeah, so yard sale is huge. It's another part of that. Don't be ashamed. You don't have to buy a new game if you just want to enjoy a hobby. Yeah, I mean the best way is to get it from someone who also enjoyed. But if you would like to go into the Goodwill now, you know, both of you.
I know Brandon is a lot more.
So,
willing for games
so
than I
so that's where I got my copy of King of Tokyo. I got it for $10. I think it's
One of your favorite games.
it's
It's like a $25, $30 game.
and yeah, like, I think I've mentioned it multiple times when I'm talking board games. I talk King of Tokyo. I love it a lot because I bought the base game, and then for all the expansions, like
Yeah.
I picked up Villainous and one of its expansions for $10 a piece. I got the Battleship game for $5. I almost got Pandemic, but somebody had just put.
one of the super. Oh no,
It was just a box.
It was just a box. Seven Wonders, Age of
Yes.
Wonders, whatever it's called, was missing an important card, so I couldn't buy. And it was everything was there except for that one card.
and to buy the replacement cards in particular,
Because when I
the cost of the game.
when I
So-
find games like that, I'll send them Ryan like, hey, because if it's a game I don't know, I'll be like,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, is this one worth picking up for this? And Ryan, I got it's a Godzilla game. It's like got Godzilla figures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got that game.
Yeah.
You showed me that game, and then I got that game because I enjoyed it so much.
Yup.
But you got it at MSRP.
No, I think I got it on a clearance sale on.
I thought you got it for your birthday from your roommates.
It was something like that.
But
I definitely did not pay.
Yeah, it was like I got Car Wars, which is a
We
kind
haven't
of
played that one yet. We need to.
it's fun. It's another one that my mom loves. She's also very good at like annoying levels good at because I have bad luck. There was a game where she drew a bunch of lasers and I had no armor. She just shredded my car. I'm like, okay, I'll just sit over here. Thank you. Let's see.
I mean, what Ryan just said about the thing. I don't think I've ever really paid MSRP for a game. I save up and I wait because holiday season comes around.
You get the
Prime
two-
Day
yep,
comes
yep.
around, back to school comes around. Things
You're-
go on sale.
Your local
the
LGS
time.
is going to be doing that. Your Targets,
Yeah.
Barnes and Noble, Walmart, even sometimes.
Walmart is huge because what's going to happen at a Walmart? Okay,
No one buys
folks,
the game.
folks, your Walmart shelves are going to fill up with these games, and some get bought, some don't. And then what's going to happen is the conglomerate is going to say,
We need to move 'em."
rolling out these games, and we're going to put these new games on the shelf that are possibly going to sell better.
Yep.
That's when you grab them because they're going to be 50% off, 70% off, and they're going to be the same condition, great game, and it's just people passed it up,
Yep.
or they
Yep.
just didn't get sold in time.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
the third edition of Betrayal. I already own Betrayal. Why would I
Right.
get the third edition? It was 60% off at our local Walmart.
Oh yeah.
I got Pandemic for $7.
Yeah, it's insane.
That is an insane. For anyone not aware, I don't know the MSRP at the moment, but that was a huge. cut.
That's-
Any game under $10
Is pretty
especially
good.
One as good as Pandemic.
You're doing really good there. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I've picked up anything from Walmart like that.
In the clearance house, I always put them in the back so you don't see them.
Yeah, that's
you got to scrounge around.
Listen,
find 'em.
I'm a thrifter. I love garage sales and like
Yeah.
antique stores. So I'm
Save a
like,
penny, man.
Yeah.
It's not
the
much
best
more
way
than
to
a
go.
penny.
Like, why pay $80 for a great game when you could get it on sale and get a bunch of other games for the same price?
it's because there's a local antique shop in Clovis.
Thrift stores.
In the US,
Out
and but I'm
of
I'm really good friends with the guy, so I always get like a discount on things. Because like not a board game, but he had a poncho I wanted for like $250. I got it for $190. So I was like,
That's a lot for a poncho.
it's
authentic.
It's authentic wool. I'll bring. I'm going.
It is like what you would see in like a traditional Western.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I love my westerns, and it's like I saw a poncho. I'm like, I have to buy this.
It's the only thing that made camping bearable for this.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah, like.
And on that camping trip, I brought board games.
Yeah, we brought.
Great for camping, great for travel. There are a lot of travel games.
Yeah, they don't expire. They only power. You can just bring them along.
Speaking of westerns, Bang.
Oh, bang. Several versions you can buy. Both should be relatively cheap. I prefer the dice version.
It's dice or a card version, correct?
That's correct. I prefer the dice one because it plays like Yahtzee, and that's very easy to convey.
We've played this one, right? Yes. Okay. This is the
one
one.
of those games that, like Logan said, it's great to have a game that has upward mobility. It's got expansions that add, and it's got expansions that change how the game is played.
Because we played the zombie one. That's why I probably insisted we play this one because I was like, oh, it's a Western game. Can we play the Western game, please?
So the dice one's going to play a lot like Yahtzee.
Yeah.
You're going to roll a set of 5 die, and depending on what faces up will be what they do. So you can get health, you can damage other players, and then an added detail is that each character you play, which is going to be a riff of a famous Western person. So like it won't quite be Billy the Kid. It'll be something similar.
Legally distinct Billy the Kid.
Yes.
Willie the Toddler or something.
I think some of the DLCs, they actually did get the licensing, but you have to get it from the families because they were real life people.
Yeah.
You have to contact those families, if any are alive, and say, can we use this?
Right.
But great game, easy to explain because it plays like Yahtzee. Most people have played Yahtzee. You can just say, you're going to re-roll 3 times, take what you have.
It shares enough like game board DNA with something else. You can kind of like, okay, here's the basis, here's where it differentiates.
And I think that's another great way when you build a collection to be able to say this game is like this
X,
game. To get people who have played that game to instantly know how to play the game.
Right,
yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's a because it gets.
If you want to teach Kentucky, you say it's like Bang.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I understand. And then here's some new rules though.
Yeah, because my mom loves plays lots of Yahtzee and like Farkle, which is another dice game in the same
I haven't
vein.
played Farkle in years.
We used to play
online at work.
We played a lot of Farkle. Like Perry and I had a little portable one we'd play on the bus going home. Yeah, so we played a lot. But I explained to her it's a lot like this, and she went, okay. And from there, she's like, oh, I love this game. And it's like, well, there's expansions. And I bought the Evolutions, and we played that. And she loved it so much, she bought the rest of the expansions for Christmas for me.
For you.
Yeah, for me. And it was like, she's like, here you. It's like
playing this when?
Yeah.
She's like, I already pre-opened it for you.
we played King of Tokyo for like a month straight after that. So
I think you're still playing it.
Yeah, no, I played it. Yeah, I played it Sunday.
Just the other week.
Yeah, I played it Sunday.
Game. I will say a travel game I love. Pretty cheap. I play it all the time. Love Letters.
Okay.
It's sub
I played this one
15.
too.
It's like 10 to 12, 13 bucks depending when you get it. I bring it literally everywhere.
It's just
like always in my bag
because it's kind of compact kind of thing.
It has its own little velvet pouch. It has some tokens that look like candy. And you can use those to track
It's
points.
5 at least on that.
Yeah, token. Logan's like check that box.
They look
Awesome.
like sprees, if you know what those are.
I don't think I
Is that
do.
a type of candy?
Yes, they look just like sprees. I'll have to buy
Yeah, hold on. You're gonna look this up for us, Ryan.
I got it.
Yeah, so they look like sprees, and you can play with the point tokens. It's a nice added deluxe feature, but you don't have to. You can play for fun, play for points.
Okay.
There's an app. I think you have to pay for it.
I know this candy.
Let me.
There's an app you can pay for.
Oh, I've never seen
digitally
these.
as well. You do have to pay for the app.
Okay, but
I bring the cards everywhere. It's really simple, really easy to pick up. You have cards. They do actions. You do the actions.
Okay.
The goal is you cannot get rid of the princess card, and whoever ends up winning for whatever means wins. You can win you can pair values. Whoever has the highest card wins. Princess is the highest card.
right. Okay.
If you are forced to get rid of the princess, you lose. Stuff like that to get people eliminated.
Okay. So you take people out of the game.
Yeah,
I see.
and
I see.
there's other ways to get points during the game, but it's generally it's really fun, really quick, really easy to pick up.
Yeah.
I bring it everywhere.
I've heard of Love Letter, but I've never played Love
And
Letter.
it is up to 6 players. It used to be only 4, I think, and there was a deluxe version that had 6.
That lets you add
Now
the
the
extra.
standard is 6, and there's a deluxe version in a box that has some other features.
That lets you play 8 or
I
something.
only have the new standard one, which is 6 players.
Okay. Which 6 is 6 is just kind of like the number.
Yeah.
It's like, I think for like groups, I generally like 4 to 6 people is like where I want to be. That's for D&D, board games, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I always question a game when it's max 4 players because I'm like, ooh, what are the odds?
Yeah.
I have 5 people here who want to play
All the time.
That's rough.
Our group, all the time.
Yeah, it's like you got to kind of like take the L and just sit out, because you have the game, you'll get the option.
Yep.
So like you almost want to like put the other people first,
Which stinks if it's a game you really enjoy. Like,
or that you really wanted to play that night.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's rough. But it's an expensive hobby. It can be. It can be an expensive hobby, especially if you're turning around, getting new games because you want to experience new. But it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, there are definitely ways to say, like I said, garage selling, going
just
to go to whale.
And then finding the ones that are cheap and being like, you can start with your baseline, Unos and all that.
Ticket Tread London, and if you love it, buy the more expensive Ticket Tread.
Yeah,
buy the American and the European version.
Yeah.
Start small and then go bigger. Start small, get the expansion.
Yep.
Another thing, don't be ashamed. Ask for gifts. People like if it's Christmas come around, don't drop it. Just let them like, hey, I really like this game. Could you? It's expensive.
Yep.
Maybe like you and uncle and whatever can all go in together. Maybe like both your siblings.
Yeah, or it's like
together.
It's like your birthday's coming. Like, I don't want anything crazy. It's like, but I would like if you can, get me this game.
This game is like $60. I'm not going to pay for that. I don't have that money. I don't want any of you to just drop that for me. So if like 2 people want to go in $30 each and get that game, and that's you can always do that to get more expensive games as well.
Yep. It just. And you can just start from there and then work your way to the more expensive crazy stuff.
I feel like it's not as bad as it used to be. A lot of people when I was growing up, board games were like not a niche, but like a.
Why would I waste my time on that?
Yeah, maybe niche is the word, but
it's like
I think it's the rise of technology was happening around the same time when you were in high school, even when I was in high school. Technologies were kind of popping off. So I was like, why play a board game when I can try the new video game?
Right. And another part of it was everyone was on the move. Because you had cell phones, you had internet with you now.
Yeah.
Because when I was growing up, and this is going to date me, when I was initially starting to go through getting on the friend group and all that, it was flip phones. No one had games on their phone. You got games on your phone.
Yeah.
None of that. It was as you go, like you sat down and you joined each other's company. It was LAN party Xbox.
Yeah, I lived out in the country, so a little town of like there's probably like 100 people max for a long time, and that was it. Yeah, that's why I played a lot of like the more like traditional board games. Like, well, we've got nothing to do and we're in the middle of nowhere. What do you guys want to do?
So don't be ashamed if you enjoy any hobby in life.
Oh yeah,
if it's board games, if it's card games.
TGCs because you have a lot of money for cardboard.
Yeah. Certain shows, if you genuinely enjoy something and you're confident in the ability to enjoy it, you're going to find people that will be willing to spend that hobby with you.
Life's too short for other people to dictate what you get to like.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you genuinely like board games, don't be afraid to start a collection. And don't be afraid to ask people if they want to play. Because what's going to happen? They say no. Oh, no. And then you could still hang out with those people. You can still go get pizza with them, go to the mall, do whatever you're doing. But you'll eventually find, you'll eventually find people that will want to play board games with you. And maybe even enjoy it after the fact.
You could take the approach I did, right? It's like I just taught everybody in my play group how to play these games, and they're like, all right, this is what we're doing. This is what Brendan taught us how to play.
I mean, that's a good wrap up. I feel like we covered a lot of great ways to save money building games, all that stuff.
Yeah, I would say we've covered some fantastic budget-friendly board games today. Perfect for those just starting their collection or looking to add some affordable variety.
Thanks for joining us on this budget board game journey. We hope we've given you some great options to consider.
Catch us next time where we'll be discussing the evolution of board game mechanics over the years and the big titles throughout history. Until then, keep gaming.
And remember, it's not about the price, it's about the experience. Stay geeky, everyone.